Okay, it's 10:05, and with that, I'll gavel in the beginning of this work session of Division 3. Today we have two bills that we're going to talk about, and we're going to have to assign committee report writing. The first one is on SB 412. This was related to correcting error in the budgeting process, where it was the intent of the legislature through the budgeting process to improve rates by 5%. The belief was that by doing that, the nursing homes and other providers would be in a better position to pay more competitive wages, and therefore be able to actually bring in more of a census. So we heard that. I don't recall anyone having any real issue in last week's working group on SB 412. There was one small thing. Mr. Lippman from the department said that he thought or intended or desired that the funds that we appropriate now would lapse at the end of the fiscal year. And so I asked Mr. Ripple to work with OLS. They created an amendment with my name on it, although I did nothing. But the amendment is the same in section 1 as section 1, with the addition of a sentence starting on line 13 that says any portion of said appropriation remaining unspent as of June 30, 2023 shall lapse to the general fund. And as I said, I think it was Mr. Lippman's understanding that it would lapse. The reason this seemed to be worthwhile was the language wasn't clear, and then in the spreadsheets that the department maintains, on one of the comment sections of a spreadsheet, it says that there's some line items in there that are near this that are non-lapsing. So in order to just keep it from getting confused, I offer this amendment my eye is just blurry. 1582, thank you. Is there a motion on 1582? And with the motion, we can discuss it.
So moved.
Second? Second. So moved and seconded. So is there any discussion on amendment 1582? Not seeing any. On the amendments, I think we can do a show of hands, and then we have to vote on the final bill, right? So I'm going to ask two questions. Or do you approve OTP on this amendment, or do you oppose it? So first, raise your hands if you support an OTP on this amendment. It's looking unanimous. Are you in with us today as a sub? It's a great room. Nobody knows it's here. So, so you're the official substitute today? Yeah. Okay. So, as a courtesy, I want to just go over what we just did and give you an opportunity to vote on that.
Can I ask a question just before you?
Yes.
So now that I've had a chance to read this. So Kevin or Mr. Ripple, I know you took out or you added in the words of Health and Human Services. That's also to clarify on line 8.
Oh, is that different? I didn't actually notice that. Let me just take
On line 6, it says the commissioner shall transmit, which is fine. I just want to make sure that I'm clear. That's the only other change.
Actually wasn't aware of that change. Let me just take a quick look at the original bill.
Okay. So while you're doing that, I'll bring Representative Schultz up to speed. So last week we heard in our working group of Division 3 House or Senate Bill 412. 412 was intended to be a correction to some human error that occurred. It's not clear exactly how we could have avoided the error. We're still going to figure that out. But we had intended to increase by 5% the rates that we paid under Medicaid to nursing homes. For whatever reason, the intent of the legislature came at cross purposes with other technical matters, and so they weren't able to do that. Although they recalculate every quarter, the first quarter was somewhere around 1.2%. The second quarter was about 3.8%, but it was short of the 5%. And supposedly in the third quarter, it did get up to 5%. But what this bill is intended to do is to retroactively clean that up and make good on our promises to the community. Okay, so then we offered an amendment though, because the financial issue is, does the money lapse or is it able to be carried into the future fiscal year? And we clarified that these funds are to lapse. What do you have, Ms. Ripple?
Yes, so other than the addition of the lapsing language on 13 and 14, you're right. That's the Commissioner of Health and Human Services is the only thing that's changed. And I think that's because, I think OLS did that because there was no previous reference to the Commissioner of HHS, so they just wanted to clarify.
Good catch by the vice chair. All right, so we will ignore our previous vote, and we're going to show a raise of hands in support or opposition to this amendment. If you're in favor, you'll raise your hand when I ask the question, and then we'll ask a second question. All those in favor of Amendment 1582 to SB 412, please raise your hands. I see unanimous. Just for technical, are there any opposed? No, I don't see any opposed. So with that, we've accepted the amendment. And now I think we need a motion on the underlying bill. SB 412 is amended.
Move the bill as amended.
Moved. Second? Seconded? Okay, moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Would you call the roll?
Motion is ought to pass on Senate Bill 412 as amended by amendment number 1582. Representative Erf.
Yes.
Representative Weiler votes yes. Representative Bean. Yes. Representative Wallner. Yes. Representative Nordgren.
Yes.
Representative Schultz.
Yes.
Chairman Edwards.
Yes.
7-0.
Okay, very good. With that, we will recommend to the Finance Committee that we OTPA. Is there anyone who wants to write the committee report in favor? Because I'm here in a service mode. I'm here to serve you. What would you like? Okay. I'll write it. All right. So we're done with that. Maybe for my education. 422, we're about to debate 422. And 422 is going to be substantially like HB 103. It's going to be identical if the amendment process has worked. Is it, since the House has already passed 103, would we be able to potentially put this on consent, or would we still have to put it on the regular calendar?
It's best to put it on the regular calendar.
All right. All right. So now we'll debate it. This bill, SB 422, was very much like HB 103. Both of them dealt with creating an adult dental benefit in Medicaid that doesn't exist today. Adults are able to get dental care through Medicaid if they are a victim of some sort of trauma and they need to get their mouth repaired. But for standard things such as cleaning, removal of bad teeth, the addition of prosthodontics could be removable. They don't have an entitlement in general. one of the three MCOs, and I can never remember the name, Americus Carnitas. Anyways, they have about 22. Do you know them? Okay, it still sounds like something I'd get at a Mexican buffet. Yeah, yeah.
What's the name? Say it again slow. Ameriihealth. Yep.
Okay, that is one of our three MCOs. They have about 22% of our Medicaid market. They are the newest MCO in New Hampshire. They derive their roots, although no longer formally associated with the Catholic Charities. All the MCOs are limited to a profit margin of 1.5%. And if they spend money on adult dental care, which is not covered, then they have to do it out of their profits. So this particular MCO has been very good at stepping into that void, spending their own profit to provide charitable care to this population. It's about 22%. So what 422 did and what 103 did was establish the dental Medicaid benefit. There were some distinctions. One of the distinctions is kind of non-germane to the main concept. There's something called a risk corridor that I think Health and Human Services has looked at. The House did not look at risk corridor, but they also found a source of money for this, which was a settlement fund from Centene that has money in about 21 to 22 million, something in that range. So most of the money from that Centene settlement fund will end up going to fund the first year or two of this dental Medicaid program, with about 2.4 million, 2.1, 2.4, somewhere in there for the risk corridor. That was different. The other difference was in 103, we amended it so that we asked for a copay by the dental beneficiaries in a way that emulated the commercial dental insurance. If you have commercial dental insurance, you pay a copay when you go in to use your dental insurance. So in order to establish a fairness principle that these patients are being treated like our taxpayers who are funding this, we implemented a copay that relied on a waiver that Dr. Finney and the department has gotten finalized or approved from. Okay, but you've gotten good indication that they'll accept it. Okay, so a minor twitch since this committee last saw 103 was it was pointed out to me that copays are generally not required for people who go in for their cleaning. And in the bill in 103, we did include the cleaning as something that they would get a copay. What this amendment to 422 and the amendment that 103 did was it just said that to be compatible with commercial insurance, there should be no copay on the dental cleanings. The other thing that we did was, which was different from the Senate version on the benefits side, was we said removable prosthodontics would be available through this program to the elderly, people in long-term nursing care facilities or on choices for independence, and also our developmentally disabled community. The emotional point of this carve out for me is that when the United States brings a reservist or a guardsman onto active duty to send them in a hostile fire zone, they do a dental readiness check on their teeth, and if they have bad oral health, what they'll do is they'll remove the bad teeth, clean up the gums, take care of the infection, and then they'll send them into the sandbox with no removable prosthodontics. And when they return from the sandbox, they still don't get removable prosthodontics. So, I think there's another fairness argument that we bring into this about what we do for those on Medicaid that isn't being done for those that we will send to fight for us. So there's a fairness issue there. And this amendment limits it to DD and the elderly. I think those were the main things: the fund, the risk corridor, the distinctions, and getting a copay for cleaning. In other words, there won't be one, and then maintaining the carve out for removable prosthodontics. That's everything in that this bill will do. It's meant to make it equal, exactly word for word with 103. One of the senators asked me in a hearing to do that, to make these two bills identical. In his mind, that was a smart thing to do. In my mind, the smart thing to do was to do what the senator asked me to do. So that's why this is identical to the version 103. Dr. Finney, do you have a question? Please. Do you want to speak to the mic and introduce yourself, please?
Good morning. I'm Dr. Sarah Finney. I'm the Medicaid Dental Director. I just wanted to make sure that we also made it known that folks who are in the acquired brain disorder waiver are also included for the removable prosthodontics.
You've read this amendment and you know that that's in here?
It is.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
I'm fine with that.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Representative Irf, question?
No, no question, but just a clarification. The removable risk corridor you referred to, just so that people understand what that is, as a result of the Centene settlement, which is basically Centene, as I understand it, miscalculated our payments to Medicare, or from our receipts, if you will, from them. And that required us to actually pay back $2.4 million. That's what that, quote, risk corridor calculation is related to. That $2.4 million is paying back CMS as a result of that whole settlement where we were getting too much money from Medicaid.
That is correct.
So,
Thank you.
maybe I'm out of sequence here. I maybe should have taken a motion to entertain Amendment 1331. Moved. Is there a second?
So moved.
Seconded by Representative Nordgren. Is there further discussion? I tried to introduce it, not kill the discussion. Okay. Okay, is that on camera? I'm doing a great, I think, Representative Nordgren. She said I'm doing a great job. Get the
You only write so good.
Okay. All right. Okay. So if there's no further discussion, I'm going to ask two questions, a show of hands on if you favor this amendment, and then a show of hands if you oppose this amendment. All those in favor, raise your hand. I see 7 of them. For completeness, anyone opposed? No show of hands. So the amendment passes. I think at this point we're ready to consider SB 422 as amended, and that will take a recorded vote on that. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? Seconded by, we'll do Representative Nordgren. She's back to the party. We ought to let her have a couple of drinks. All right. So, is there any further discussion on SB 422? It's been motioned that we OTPA this. Seeing none, would the clerk conduct a roll?
Motion is ought to pass as amended by Amendment number 1331. Representative Erb.
Yes.
Representative Weiler votes yes. Representative Bean. Yes. Representative Wallner.
Yes.
Representative Nordgren.
Yes.
Representative Schultz.
Yes.
Chairman Edwards.
Yes,
7-0.
very good. And with that, we'll recommend, go ahead.
I'm happy to write the blurb if you like.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. That's good to know. When might you have your version?
When do you need it?
They say we shouldn't go home until we get it done. So
How about tomorrow?
if you'll do it, if you'll do it before I boot up my computer in the morning, tomorrow morning, that's good enough.
Fair enough.
All right. Thank you. All right. So I think I just lost my place. I think we just passed. We'll recommend to the committee, full committee, 422 as amended by 1331, and we have the committee report under control. So that closes that. Is there any other new business by anyone on the committee? I have a question for you, Representative Schultz. Do you anticipate being a transitory visitor here, or are you going to be the new member? It's still TBD? Okay, well, you're obviously welcome here, so.
I appreciate that. And I also appreciate that you took the time to brief me, even though I was late, something Representative Rogers would have been very unhappy about. But I'm not about the explanation, about me being late. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Any comments from the crowd? I hope you were entertained. All right. All right. All right. Thank you. With that, the hearing is closed.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, I guess,
Yes. Yes, sir. Hello. How are you? Good.
John?